Hi, gals and girls and professor. This is your fellow classmate Tamron Cox again, and today I want to inform you guys about wedding rituals around the world. People get married every day, all day, around the world, and every two weddings are different. Weddings will differ from every part of the country and region, and even in the same country, weddings can differ. It will be different aspects from region to region. So, today, my purpose is to inform you about different aspects and rituals in India, China, and Kenya. Today, I will be discussing about the wedding attire for the brides. I will be discussing and hinting on arranged marriages, and I will also be talking about food, about wedding food. Who doesn't love food? I love food. Getting along. Today I want to start with wedding rituals in India. Indian people are very stern individuals of their beliefs and religion. In Hindu weddings, they have lots of rituals that they follow and have been practicing since the beginning of time for thousands of years. Wedding attire for brides in India may vary from region to region, but the preparation for Indian brides is a very long process and it takes a lot of planning. Indian brides usually wear a sari, which is the traditional wedding attire for brides in India. It has been worn since the beginning of the Indian culture. Jewelry also plays a major part. And one interesting factor that I found out is that no bride is complete without 16 pieces of adornments and jewelry on her. So if you see an Indian bride, she has lots and lots of jewelry and adornments. The bride in the Indian culture is the centerpiece of the wedding. Everyone is looking at her, so she has to look her best. Usually her hair is placed into a ponytail like the one I have now, a simple ponytail, or it might be in a simple bun when they put it up and they pin it, such as this, or it may be in just a simple long, if she has long hair, it just may be just a simple down hairstyle. And their makeup also plays a major role in their attire. Indian women love to look good, and especially for their weddings. So it takes a while for them to get prepared for their special wedding day. Arranged marriages are still practiced in some parts of India. And one thing that I found out is that the bride and groom are usually matched. They call it matched by spiritual leaders, priests, or their parents, being that it be on the groom's side and on the bride's side. Back in ancient times, um, when the marriage was arranged, the bride did not have consent. She could not give her permission whether or not she wanted to marry the groom. But nowadays, in the modern world, when they do the arranged marriages, they ask the bride for her consent. So she gives confirmation if she wants to marry the groom or not, which is a good thing. You should also want to do that because it's marriage. Wedding foods in India. Indians love their food, love their wedding food, love the spreads of the wedding food. If you go to an Indian wedding reception, you will see a huge spread of food. Traditionally, in the wedding menu, it is arranged by the bride's parents. They will ask the groom's parents for their insight, but it's mostly the bride's parents that is getting the wedding menu together and arranged. The types of food will also depend upon the region you're in India. First, they will have different appetizers for vegetarians along with the meat eaters. The appetizers is usually followed by the main course, which will include 4 to 5 vegetable dishes. This main course is the heaviest course that they serve. And the meal sometimes includes dals, pulao, and breads. Also, lastly, will be the desserts. Sweet and tasty Indian treats. They're sometimes served with ice cream and different sweets, such as pan. Pan is a sweet treat, which is betel leaf stuffed with betel nuts, spices, and sugar. This will help the Indians' palates from their spicy and heavy entree that they had. Moving right along to China. I know people may have seen some Chinese weddings on internet sites or magazines on TV and things like that, and you usually see the brides dressed in the red. I have on a red shirt today, but they usually have on the red dresses. But also in China, the bride's attire may vary from region to region, just like in India. But also, I found out that the bride will wear a red gown, which features an embroidered phoenix. The phoenix is a symbol for half of the female, and the other half is the male, which is the dragon. Stands for the yin and the yang. Also, the bride may also wear a tiara adorned on her head with a long, thick, and heavy red veil with gold embellishes on that. And you may see that on my PowerPoint presentation under the Chinese wedding rituals. You will see the bride with the long veil, and it's very heavy. I also found out that some brides, when they do wear it, they do not wear it for a long time because of the heaviness of the red veil. In northern China, some brides wear long, flowing, form-fitting wedding gowns, and you also see that on the PowerPoint. In southern China, brides usually wear a two-piece jacket and skirt-like gown. This is called a hung kao. The grooms, as you will see on the PowerPoint presentation, will usually wear a dark blue robe. As far as arranged marriages in China, traditionally, Chinese men would seek a woman for marriage. But first, they will do a birthday matching. And with the birthday matching, they would give their birth dates to a fortune teller, and the fortune teller will let them know if they're compatible or not. If they are compatible, then the fortune teller will give their names and everything else and pick a date for them to get married. The date is very important because the fortune teller will pick a date that is the luckiest for the bride and the groom. And one interesting factor that I found out was that the groom then finds out what the date of the wedding is, and then he will send someone to inform the bride about it, and then they can start planning for their wedding. Wedding foods in China. The Chinese wedding menu is usually foods that symbolizes long life and prosperity. They traditionally serve 8 courses during the wedding reception. 8 courses because they believe that 8 is a lucky number. For the appetizers, they usually serve cold plates. And for the main dish, they usually serve duck or geese. And you may be familiar with, it's called Peking duck. Also, for desserts, they may serve red bean soup and sweet buns. So that kind of sounds pretty good, and that's very interesting. And let's move along to Kenya. Kenya, all across Kenya, you will find different wedding rituals from each tribe, from each region, in each parts of the country of Kenya. But for the most part, traditional wedding rituals are still practiced. For example, in some parts of Kenya, that are modernized, the women wear Western wedding dresses, the white, big and poofy wedding dresses, but their weddings are still elaborate and colorful. Some may wear a headdress or a head wrap, and you may have seen some African women wearing their head wraps. I found out that in the Swahili culture, the bride is bathed in sandalwood oils and has henna tattoos, designs painted all over her limbs. So they painted on her legs and her arms and her chest and things like that. Arranged marriages are still practiced in some parts of Kenya. The Masi people of Kenya, the women are usually given to men that are way older than they are. One of the traditions is that the bride packs up her belongings and moves in with the groom. Before she moves in with the groom in the ceremony, one very interesting thing that I found out was that the bride's father actually spits on her head and spits on her breast, and that's his blessing to her. So that was very, very, very interesting and very different from our Western culture and things that we are used to in our wedding rituals. The food is also important in Kenya, just as in China and India. Um, they also have a huge buffet style spread, which will range from region to region, but they normally have rice, goat, all different kind of bean dishes, and they serve chicken as well. And they have their different sweets that will vary from region to region. But overall, one common denominator through all of the rituals from India, China, and Kenya was that food is a major part. Food is what brings both sides of the family together. Food is what helps them fellowship during the reception, and just is just a conversation piece. So everybody enjoys their food. So I hope today that you learned more about some of the wedding rituals in China, India, and Kenya. And I hope I did a great job by informing you guys about it and just informing you about that every wedding is different, and whether you go to the United States, to India, China, or Kenya, they have different wedding practices. So maybe in your free time, you may want to look up and research some different wedding rituals if you haven't gotten married yet. Some Americans incorporate different aspects of different cultures into their weddings, such as me and my husband. We jump the broom, which is a ancient African tradition. So you may just want to find out some more information about wedding rituals that I talked about in India, in Kenya, and China. So that is all for today, and I hope everyone is having a great day. Thank you for your time, and thank you guys for listening.